I'm going to be blunt here. If I were to rank my most disappointing reads of 2022, Book of Night would be near the bottom of the list. Hello everyone, my name is Holly and I hope you're all having a great day, and I hope I'm not about to ruin it. I promise I'm not going to be as brutal as like 2017 booktuber Holly, but I am very passionate about books and love sharing that with you guys, and will be honest about my experience. I'll never ever tell you to not read a book, cause this could be a potential favorite for you, and I'd hate to ruin that chance. So we are going to be talking about quite a hot book today. It just came out of the oven, and that is Book of Night by Holly Black. Listen, when this was first announced, I knew it was going to be a long shot that this would be for me, but I truly had hope that Holly Black's debut adult fantasy, which is labeled as dark adult fantasy, literally summons me. I hoped it would finally find and deliver the spark that I've been searching for from her. Instead, it's had the opposite effect on me. Her novels so far have all been about like fae, court politics, romance. She had some other novels that leaned into some like creepy factor, and hey, the atmosphere for those were great. So why couldn't this be? I could see this having like a really cool moment. Oh boy, let's dive in. First up, I'd like to give a big thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of different classes. People from around the world and hundreds of countries use Skillshare for inspiration to straight up learn brand new skills and find good ways to use it. From creative to business, just really cool hobbies, Skillshare has a buttload of things to learn. And you can start from square one basically. I mean, you can learn for real serious stuff, or you can learn for fun. Now for me personally, I use Skillshare kind of as like a refining for my skills I already have. Okay, for example, I have been really wanting to up my video editing skills. I feel like every YouTuber wants that, and make my videos feel a little bit more fast-paced, since they are mostly all sit-down videos, and that can be quite boring, and old editing habits die hard. So with Ali Abdaal's help, especially if you're looking to refine your skills or even just get started on YouTube. It's ad-free, a bunch of languages are supported, and new premium classes are added every week, with even some relaxing and different stuff you wouldn't expect, like self-care classes. So the first 1,000 people to go and click the link in my description box or use my code, which will get you a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So go check it out. Thanks to them for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so before we really dive into like the nitty-gritty and start complaining like the main character constantly does in the story, I want to start this review by saying I liked this at first. I was into it. I thought, oh cool, I'm going to be on the positive side of an unpopular opinion because a lot of people aren't liking this one. I went into it with low expectations and figured that was going to help me, but then it just didn't do anything with the cool shadow stuff it promises. So I pondered the question, what really is Book of Night? This book is kind of hard to explain because it almost read like a memoir of our main character Charlie, and she's describing what everyday life has been like and is like, with a small percentage of people around the world having shadow magic, a normal occurrence, even mentioning like TikTok and YouTube videos where kids are trying to get their shadow to awaken, which only a traumatic event can cause, it seems. So kids are doing some pretty dangerous and brutal stuff, like splitting their tongue in half. As someone who pierced their own nose and lip in high school, I would have probably been one of those kids. And as a teenager, you wouldn't regret a thing. At the moment, Holly Black made the magic itself very believable, like it was part of our own world, though I said it reads like a memoir almost, like building up our main character and diving into her childhood very heavily in the first half. There is a plot here, buried under all the fluff. Charlie is a former con artist and renowned thief turned bartender. You can tell Holly Black tried to create a very, very specific character. And yeah, she is kind of a stereotype. A young girl working at a bar. She wears black skinny jeans, black t-shirts, and Converse shoes. Literally describing me. She's poor, she's a thief, has a broken family, a grungy personality, a sister who reads tarot cards. Anyways, she's tried to leave the life of crime behind, but it continues to follow her. Charlie gets a request from an old high school friend to help locate her husband. That specific plotline itself is so freaking pointless, by the way. But it all sounds like a simple job, but it turns into a bigger, more sinister plot, where shadows stalk her and bodies begin to pile up. She has no choice but to use her weird skills where she was conning people as a toddler to get to the bottom of it. She has to deal with a mysterious boyfriend who doesn't have a shadow, which, by the way, there is no romance in this book, which I liked, but thought I'd mention that for the hardcore Holly Black fans out there. There's also some type of like weird dealings with a mafia type group almost. The plot is honestly really straightforward, though Holly Black tries to complicate it, I think, with like fancy words and science about shadows and shit. But basically, shadows can be manipulated to make people more powerful physically and politically. If you have a shadow awakened, you can feed it blood and it will go batshit crazy. And funnily enough, nothing happens. When I say nothing happens, I mean there is plot movement maybe every 70 pages. There is so much info dump of her trying to explain the magic that it took away from the story and characters, leaving everything feeling flat. World building? No such thing. It's even set in the modern world, and yet it felt so unreal and so lame. Even the bar that Charlie works at, which is owned by a dominatrix, should have been interesting. It was flat as hell, as flat as her spanking tools. You would think that everyone has funny interactions, but everyone has stand-up there. I mean, there was a whole 2 pages about having a third nipple, and not in a humorous way, and I'm like, what is going on? I never felt like the stakes were high, or that Charlie was in any real danger, or she wasn't going to accomplish what she set out to do despite making bad decisions throughout the story. That's something you really can't complain about in anything though, because if characters made smart decisions, the movie or book or video game would be like 30 minutes long. So I understand that part, but not even some of the big reveals involving side characters impacted me in any way. Besides, make me not like them more. Charlie has a love interest named Vince, and I actually really like this character. He was actually my favorite. But then we get his perspective later, in the second half of the book, and I just didn't care about him all of a sudden, and found him so boring when at the beginning he was interesting. The mystery surrounding him, which I was attached to, completely diminished. And the ending, oh, it felt a little bit like a cop-out and an excuse to turn this into a series if it ends up selling well. I thought this was going to be a standalone. It seemed like it was being promoted that way, but it's an imposter standalone because it ends on a damn cliffhanger. It made me feel like there was no resolution to the story, and I really wish there was because it needed one. A satisfying ending could have slurped me back up and maybe lessened the blow for the rest of the book, but nope. Couldn't even have it. To be honest, the longer this is out, I see the rating for it dipping tremendously as more readers give it a chance. I mean, it's already at a 3.8, and I know that that rating isn't bad, but for Holly Black, where her books normally stay above 4.0, and it's, I don't know, has it even been out for a month? It's really sad, as famous as Holly Black is, and she has such a specific style of writing and storytelling. This did not have her charm at all. Heck, it felt like she had a ghostwriter for this. That's how non-Holly Black it felt. Overall, clearly, I'm very disappointed by this, but I did go into it very wary, but with an open mind. If the stars align, I can see Book of Night and not having an unpleasant time, but it's done so very little to keep up with the heights the rest of the genre has reached. If you have read this book and loved it, please share your comments down below. I would love to see everyone's perspective. If you do give this a chance, I hope you end up loving it. I hope you see what Holly Black was trying to accomplish. I really wish I liked this because I was enjoying it. The setup had a hook in me, but it didn't reel me in enough. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, remember to click that like button because it really helps me out a lot. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're not already for more content like this. Negative videos are very rare, I promise, but we'd love to have you here. And go ahead and check out that Skillshare offer, which will give the first 1,000 people a 1-month free trial. And yeah, until we meet again, happy reading.